Pokemon come in all different shapes and sizes, and they also come in different types. There are 18 types in the Pokemon universe, with each one being able to pair with any one of the others. This results in some interesting type combinations, some of which, after nearly 25 years and almost 1,000 Pokemon, still haven't been used to this day. It's fun imagining what Pokemon with these elusive type combos would look like, so today we're going to be going over every unused type combination as of right now, and look at the coolest new Pokemon ideas for each, in my own opinion anyway. I will be using a bunch of Fakemon art to represent the ideas, and as such, all of the artists for them will be credited in the description and throughout the video, so be sure to use the links below to check them out, because they obviously deserve it. With that said though, let's check it out. Probably the most talked about unused type combo is Bug Dragon. It's a really interesting combination, and ever since Flygon came into existence and was not this type, and then Yanmega became a thing and it wasn't this type even as a Dragonfly Pokemon, people have been desperate for this type combo to actually come to life. Well, that is where this Pokemon based on a peanut bug comes in, because in my opinion, this is the coolest design for a Bug Dragon type that I've ever seen. You probably recognize it as the Pokemon that was leaked as real for Sword and Shield just after those games were announced, and even though a short time later it was revealed to be fake by Throw-Rock, its creator, it certainly still looks good enough to be the real thing, and I would love to see a Pokemon like this in a future game someday. Another highly requested unused type combination is Normal Ghost. This is such a fascinating type combo because it brings two types that are immune to each other together, and it really offers some amazing possibilities in terms of a Pokemon design. One idea that I've always liked for this concept is a Pokemon based on a classic bedsheet ghost, because that's your stereotypical or normal depiction of a ghost, so it's a nice play on words that would allow the type to make a lot of sense for whatever Pokemon carried it. With that said, this design by Luis Brain does such a phenomenal job of illustrating that concept in a creative way that results in a really cute, cool, and charming looking Pokemon. The evolution he created for this Mon is also great as well, and not only do I want to see this type combo be a real thing, I really want to see the Sheet Ghost idea happen too, because I think it would work amazingly, and these designs right here are the proof. Speaking of normal, there are several type combinations involving the normal type that haven't been used yet, probably because normal can kinda go under the radar when it comes to using it in a dual type. One of those combinations is Normal Ice, and not to toot my own horn or anything, but I think Stowball and Wintrote from my Pokemon Cardinal series are pretty dang wonderful. I don't go into the design origins of the Pokemon in that series, so it'll actually be fun to give you all some background here on these two Pokemon. Stowball and Wintrote are based on Stoats, a fairly standard average kind of animal, which is why it has the normal type, but then Stowball in particular is based on a snowball, and its evolution continues to carry that theme along, which is where the ice type comes in. I really love these little guys, and I think they show the potential that this type combo could have in an actual game. Other than Bug Dragon, the most desired or talked about unused type combo has to be Grassfire. It's another combination that brings together opposite types, so it makes sense that people want to see what an actual Pokemon with that type would look like. Well, if we ever do get one, I would for sure like to see it become something like Grember, another Mon from my Pokemon Cardinal series. I promise I'm not just trying to brag on myself, I just really like how some of my own Pokemon designs turned out for that series, and Grember is a highlight for sure. For instance, the reason why I like him so much as a Grass-Fire type is that he's not based on a Tiki or a Pepper or one of those things that you see for nearly every other fan-made Grass-Fire type out there. So he's original in that respect, but what he is based on also gives him the perfect reason to be Grassfire, because he's based on the story of the burning bush from the Bible, and I mean, the name of that story literally speaks for itself in terms of the typing. He's also based on a Wolverine, which are fiery little animals that also live in wooded areas, so it kinda fits that way too, but overall I just love the design and how it turned out personally, and I would love for it to be a real thing. One type that is really surprising that it hasn't been done yet is electric fighting. It seems like that would have happened a long time ago, but to this point it just hasn't for whatever reason. When and if it does though, it would be amazing to see something like this design by Silverava on DeviantArt. It's based on a red panda, which I think is cool considering its electric type, because usually you'd think of a red panda as a fire type or something similar, so electric is a really unique take on that concept. Silverava didn't actually make it electric fighting themselves, but I think it fits that idea well for the purpose of this video. It also just looks really cool in general and reminds me a lot of Lucario and Zoroark, almost as if it could be a sort of mascot for its own region like those two are for theirs. It's really a shame that we haven't seen this type combo yet, but I would love for it to look like this when it eventually does. And speaking of types that you would think already happened a long time ago, we also have Bug Dark. Like, how have we not had a Bug Dark type yet? It honestly is really puzzling, but there's clearly a lot of potential for a great Pokemon here, and this one by Formiga Fakemon looks really awesome in my opinion. I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure what kind of bug it's supposed to be based on specifically, and the artist hasn't seemed to clarify either, but regardless of that, I think the design itself just looks really cool, and it even has an evolution that looks really awesome as well. This is just the type of thing that I would like to see for our first Bug Dark type ever, and hopefully it happens sooner rather than later. Amongst these kind of type combinations that have always stuck out to me personally, Ice Poison has always been right up there. I don't know what it is about it, but it just seems like a really cool type combination, and while I'm sure there are a million different ways you could make a good Ice Poison type Pokemon, I really like this design by Smiley Fakemon. It's obviously based on the concept of having a cold, which is an ingeniously simple basis for one of the more unique type combinations that's out there. And while this design itself is great, there are also a bunch of different ways that you could make a Pokemon based on this concept, let alone for the type combination itself. It seems like something that really has a lot of potential, so I really hope it happens once again sooner rather than later. When it comes to the poison type, Poison Steel is another combination that's never been done before. Since Steel is immune to poison, putting the two types together is a really interesting idea, and another idea for this type that is ingeniously simple is a Pokemon based on Mercury, like this design by Dark and Windy. This is because Mercury is a toxic metal, so I mean, it's practically begging to be a real thing. We do have Meltan, however, who is also based on Mercury, so while unfortunately I don't think a Poison Steel type would happen in exactly this way for this reason, I really like the direction Dark and Windy went with this, and I would love to see something similar in the official games. Another type that Steel has never been paired with is Normal, likely for reasons we explained earlier, and while pairing Normal with anything seems like it would be easy yet challenging at the same time, this design by Smiley Fakemon does it in a really unique and interesting way. First, it is based on a porcupine, which is where I assume the normal type comes in, but the steel type comes in because it's also based on shrapnel, likening debris being shot out of a bomb to a porcupine shooting its quills out at a predator. That is a really creative combination that also blends together really well, and it shows how even a Pokemon with normal as one of its two types can be really interesting and cool. Alright, I've got a few more Pokemon from Pokemon Cardinal I'm going to highlight here because I'm sorry, I just think they're really cool. I promise I'm not trying to gloat or anything, but with that said, I also have a Porcupine Pokemon I did, except for the normal Poison type instead. Venipine here is based on a Porcupine, which once again is where the normal type comes from, with the Poison type coming more so from the additional punk rocker inspiration that is used to fashion its quills in a unique way. I feel like normal Poison is one of the trickier unused normal type combinations to pull off, and I think Venipine is a good example of how it can be pulled off well. Speaking of tricky normal type combos, normal rock is another one that kind of seems challenging to do. Like, how do you make a rock type that can also be classified as normal? Well, in my personal case, I did it by creating a saber-toothed tiger Pokemon named Greninine and making it one of the fossil Pokemon of my region. It's a normal type because it's based on a cat, but rock type because it's a fossil Pokemon, contributing to the popular assumption that, with the exception of the new Galar fossils, that most fossil Pokemon are rock type because they were brought back to life from a fossil, so the rock type then gets attached to them upon being revived. I really like that explanation personally, so I thought it made for a good opportunity to make a Pokemon with this typing that's never been used before. Another typing involving rock that hasn't been done before that I used this same strategy to pull off is Ghost Rock, with my other fossil Pokemon Scythosaur claiming this type combination. Now, he gets the rock type once again thanks to being a fossil, but you might be wondering where the ghost type comes in exactly. Well, it all has to do with what Scythosaur is based on. Scythosaur is based on the recently discovered Tyrannosaur, Thanatotherastes degrutorum, a very aggressive species of dinosaur also known as the Reaper of Death, hence the ghost type. There's also a duality between Scythosaur and Greninine to tie them together as counterparts, even though they are based on completely different things. One has the normal type, the other has Ghost, which, as we've touched on, are known as opposite typings to each other, and then they also have a sort of past and future type of concept going on as well. Greninine being based on the saber-toothed tiger, which as an extinct species that has been known about for a while, is based on the black and white era, which is where its grayscale color scheme comes from, representing the longer amount of time that the saber-toothed tiger has been known about. Scythosaur, meanwhile, being based on a species that was only very recently discovered, is based on the color era, which is why its body is more colorful to represent this more modern and recent discovery. I'm pretty proud of these two, not going to lie, and I would just love to see Pokemon like this, with these typings, become a real thing someday. There's also a couple ground type combinations that haven't been done to this point, one of them being Fighting Ground. This design, even though I don't believe it was made as a fighting ground type, looked like it could be one to me, and looks like the kind of thing I think would be cool to do with this typing. I couldn't find the original artist for this one, so if you're out there and you're watching this, feel free to reach out and let me know so I can credit you. But yeah, like I said, I really like the design of this one, and I think getting a fighting ground type would be pretty dang cool. The other yet-to-be-seen ground-type combination is Ground Fairy, and this design by Magachi on Reddit is pretty dang cool. First off, it's based on a fairy armadillo, which, if you look at one, is literally begging to be made into a Pokemon, especially with a name like that, and is also the perfect candidate for a ground fairy type. I really liked these designs in particular because I really like their portrayal. They're a little more monster-like and aren't necessarily a straight-up armadillo, but you can still see the armadillo in them at the same time. It's a creative way to go about the design for an already really unique and cool point of inspiration, and that's a combination that most of the time makes for a really cool Pokemon. One of my personal favorite unused type combinations is Fire Fairy. Whenever this one does eventually happen, I think we're in for a treat, because I think it's going to make for a fantastic Pokemon, whatever it ends up becoming. This design by 50 Shades of Heliolisk shows its own interpretation of what this type combo could look like, and I think it shows off that potential well. In fact, this whole evolution line have designs that are amazing, but with this one in particular being the one that is Fire and Fairy type, that is the one we're going to be highlighting, and like I said, I like it a lot. It gives me some Delphox vibes, but in a more well-executed way, and it also pulls off the often controversial bipedal body style pretty well too. I feel like any kind of Fire Fairy Pokemon we get when we eventually do get one is going to be amazing, but I would definitely be pretty happy if it ended up like this too. And from Fire Fairy to Fighting Fairy, this is yet another interesting type combination. You don't naturally expect fairy types to have that aggressive, fighting nature, but the combination is there for the taking, and there are plenty of opportunities out there to make a good Pokemon out of it. One of which I believe is this design by Smiley Fakemon. They didn't actually make it as a fighting fairy type, instead just pure fighting, but it's also based on a sucker, as you can see from its hand and arm, which is the perfect reason to make it a fairy type as well. And standing in as a fairy fighting type concept, it shows just how unique and cool a Pokemon with this type could truly be. Finally, the last unused type combination we have yet to see is Normal Bug. It's not exactly going to be at the top of anyone's list, and it's also one of those weird normal combos that just seems odd, but of course there is still potential here. For this combo, I picked this design, once again by Smiley Fakemon. They did not make it Normal Bug because frankly finding a design that was specifically normal bug type was difficult, but I thought that this design also showed what a normal bug type could look like. Because if you were going to make a normal bug type, wouldn't literally making a normal bug be the way to go? And one of the most normal common bugs out there is the common housefly, which is why I thought that this design was a good depiction of what the normal bug type could be like, and even though it's not at the top of my most wanted list of unused type combinations, it's still one that I will absolutely welcome with open arms. And there you have it, everyone. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already for more Pokemon content. Also, be sure to check out the artists of all of these designs with the link in the description, and if you would like to support the channel further, be sure to check out my Pokemon remixes on Spotify and watch my Pokemon Cardinal series if you haven't yet, new episodes of which will be coming out next week, and frankly, any and all support in either of those areas is sincerely appreciated. I will be back on Tuesday with another video as well, so stay tuned for that, and until then, as always, I love you guys, and I will smell you guys later.